Well, today I'm bringing you a man who has impacted so many lives spiritually, including my own. Since 2011, he's been the Southeast Mississippi area director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he's been the football team chaplain for Southern Miss. And I heard a cool slogan from Coach Will Hall about you. He calls you his sacred weapon. I mean, that what a title. I don't know what else to say, Mitch. So with all that said, man, there's a lot more to come. I'm bringing you my friend, one of my life mentors, the one and only Mitch Williams. And Mitch, how you doing?
No, I tell you what, I love me some Marshak Kenny, man. Just to spend some time with you. If I gotta do it this way, dadgummit, I'll do it this way. But I love you, doggone it. And you can't do nothing about it. Can't do nothing about it.
Mitch, I don't end any conversations with you without an I love because I do.
Yeah.
I love you, man. I'm gonna keep my composure, not cry, because you know how much I love you. Everybody does too. So, but let's get this thing going. It's about you, Mitch, and the impact that you've made in the Pine Belt area and just all sorts of areas. And but maybe a lot of people don't know, man, you were a tremendous track star for Southern Miss back in the day. You're in the Southern Miss Athletic Hall of Fame. You were team captain back in the day. And speaking of impacting lives, you were given the Generations Award by the city of Hattiesburg as one of the most impactful African Americans in the history of the city, man. Just looking back at stuff like that, lives you've impacted. I mean, just how does this all make you feel, Mitch?
Ooh, I mean, it's humbling. I remember getting I was invited for the Generations Strong event down there in the city of Hattiesburg, and I just thought it was a kind of like a gathering, just a social. I didn't know it was going to be something on a wall. I didn't know any of that, and I got over there and see all these icons, these people that I've grown up with and known, and so humbled by it. I think the greatest gift of all of that, Marchand, is to take my granddaughter down there. And because somewhere down the line, when I'm going home to glory, that she'll know that was her granddad. And if there's anything that we've ever were just had the opportunity to do, to have that for my granddaughter and my 6-month-old grandson, who doesn't know really anything yet, but other than food and sleep, but to have that. Hattiesburg is my home. Being raised by a single mom and in a trailer, right in between Bowie Street going toward Petal. And she raised us here. And I didn't get to know my dad until about 18. He went to play pro football for the Chiefs for 2 years. He had the choice of staying here and taking care of two boys. And other than that, or then going to Jackson State and playing football. And he graduated out of college and he went to the Chiefs, and I got to know him when I was 18. And but it was my mother who I did not want to disappoint. When you're not having a whole lot, you're growing up and thinking that, now I know a whole lot more than I did then, thinking that we had some stuff, but we didn't. And my mom kind of made sure we had what we needed, but it was my grandfather that shaped who I am. His Bible is right over here. And when he was real sick, his request was I would keep his Bible. I was only 15 years old at the time. But Marchand, the thing that I saw with him was that I used to go and when I was a child, I used to wrap my arms around his legs and stuff. I wanted to go wherever he wanted to go, wherever he wanted. And he would go to Ebenezer Baptist Church, where he was a superintendent of Sunday school and people loved him. But the one thing I saw, Marchand, was that he would stop at people's homes and fix refrigerators and go on to people's sinks and stuff. He was a railroad man, so he was good with his hands. I saw him help people and serve people on his way to church. And as a child, that had a profound influence on me.
Mm.
Because they knew when Mr. Hardy was coming by, if there was something, he would just stop and talk to people and what. Very humble man, and he would just go and just serve people on his way to church.
Mm.
And people never called that house and asked for him unless they really kind of knew that he could help them. And he would get up out of his bed and he'd go help. He didn't drive, he walked. So I saw that, and then, ooh, Lord Jesus, by the time I got to, came out of North Forest and was running track there, played basketball. We didn't even have a track, Marchant. It was just like when we got to Southern Miss, we didn't have a track. I don't think we had a road around the football field. And Coach Marshall Bell took a chance on us. And
Mm.
but it was that seed of my grandfather, and then seeing my mother work. She died at age 59, and when they said Dr. Bellari, her doctor said she had the heart of somebody 78 years old because she'd worked herself to death
Mm.
trying to take care of our family.
Mm.
And so, the mix of both of seeing a man who served, and then getting to school and seeing a guy like Coach Bell who he was like, whew, we got to do this. We got to stay D1A. And that was the big deal now because of track. We had no track, but we had to have 3 sports to stay Division 1A and NCAA.
Mm.
So, we went and participated and got obliterated by people. People just beat us like crazy in our events, but we competed. And by the time we got to our junior and senior year, nobody wanted to run against the University of Southern Mississippi without a track. We were pretty doggone good. But my first son is named after Coach Bell, after Coach
No. Yeah, I remember talking to you when I worked with you, WDA, man, the impact Coach Bell made on you. And, being raised by a single mom and, during that time, you were fortunate enough, Coach Oliver Johnson, North Force, your grandfather, you spoke of Marshall Bell, strong man in your life to help you guide you along when you're young. And that's something I always bonded with you. My backstory, parents passed away when I was young, raised by a nun, and I bonded to coaches and things like that. Just not to repeat it all, but the importance of listening to guidance as a youngster when you're mad at the world or something, or just got it all figured out. I mean, how important is that, you find? Just listen to the knowledge these people are bringing to you.
Well, one of the things you learn is that there's no replacement for a person of responsibility in a young person's life. There's no replacement for them. And the greatest weapon for anybody, to anybody, is love and acceptance. And it doesn't matter where the background or who they are, but if you can find a way to love them and accept them for who they are, through their good and their bad, then it becomes a language. And I saw that through our coaches because they dealt with this sometimes mad young man because he didn't know about his father and all these different things I brought into it. And these men, Coach Johnson, Coach Mike Tebow, Coach Bell, who took us and then just walked with us through stuff. And I think even part of chaplaincy in the University of Southern Mississippi, in the now 10 years, my 10th season, is that what we see it as being paternal and walking with a lot of our guys through a number of things, if it be going to a funeral, or if it's walking through an ACL, or if it's a relationship with someone, or if it's forgiveness or unforgiveness or what, and being paternal. And if you come to practice or what, you've been there, I'm a big hugger. I'll go and jump on a rascal and hold them down or what, and then these big old offensive linemen get me on around them and what. So we don't want no mountain to be look like a mountain, nothing that's an anthill that looks like a mountain, so to speak. Just love them through it, and get them through it. And then with this expectation that if God gave you a gift to play football, use every bit of it. Every bit of it. And we're not going to take anything on that on the field. We'll deal with it when we get done. But if not, then you get out there in your tail and get out there and play. And now it's just been incredible because the environment that Coach Hall has given has been like, whoo, it's so life-giving. And these principles that he's put on the wall about honesty and accountability and the golden rule and projecting positive energy and these things that you have and finding a way and always competing, those things, they see this every day. So then, Marchand, just imagine when they come up out of here, and of course, I think this year the football program's going to have the best year academically that it's had in seasons. My goodness. Well, when they come out of here with their degree, they're going to have those culture components. And our assignment in that is to love them through it. It's to love them through it. And if I can be personal for a minute, our head football coach came here in his first year, he had COVID. The second year, we found a way how to have a winning season. The third year, it's still a young football team, basically with a whole lot of puppies. And now this year, he finally gets a chance, I believe, to put a lot of components together that he has kind of travailed through for 3 years, and it's been hard, man. It has been really, really hard because he's won all of his life and he knows how to win. So the prayer and the request unto the Lord is to see all of that hard work pay off in this aroma of NIL and transfer portal and all of these different things. He's working his tail off. And it's not just for the season of 2024, Marchand, because of some of the things that might be coming down the road. He's putting stakes in the ground that's going to be good for the football program for the University of Southern Mississippi for years to come. The model of it, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, the model of it is pretty daggum good. Really, really good. And Lord have mercy, we fool around and have a really, really good season this year with the things already in place. Talking about shouting hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. There might be a whole lot of hallelujahs going around because we'll know, for those of us that have been inside that building and being there and spending a lot of time, how much work that's gone into that. So that's a whole lot. You didn't get into all that, but there's a lot of things folks don't see, and you get to be a witness to it and see it happen, but also see the work. And I think the heart behind it is what kind of gets me. It ain't because people need trophies. It's because they want to invest in young people.
Oh, incredible words right there. And Mitch, we're going to get a little bit more football stuff right there and how much Coach Will Hall thinks of you. I saw it firsthand, man. I don't want anybody young listening to this. Really listen and get to know Mitch if you get a chance. I mean, really get to know him. I mean, after football, Coach Bauer, Coach Thompson were my mentors in life. And you became that next one for me for 3 years, man, at the WDAM. And, we talk sports, but dang, you taught me life. You taught me so much life and ways to live. And, I still had my ways here and there, but it was so powerful. And, that third year when I said goodbye to you, I cried harder saying goodbye to you when I had to leave that job than I had when my own father died. And you remember that moment, Mitch. I couldn't let you go, man. I was like, I didn't think this through. I didn't realize how much I missed you. So I just want you to know what the impact this man, his words, his knowledge can be. And a big cool thing Coach Hall said about you, did my homework, talked to him. He said, man, God meant for you two to get together because in his fourth year, this culture is incredible. I know the wins and losses haven't gone according to plan, but man, these young men are becoming better men. And there's a reason he calls you a sacred weapon. There's a reason for that. But it's a year-round thing, building this culture, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Give us a little bit behind the scenes of just building this thing. 30 athletes baptized by now, man. And it's a special deal. I rambled on, but you know how much I love it. I can talk about you all day. Go ahead, Mitch, if you don't mind talking a little bit more about the program.
Well, when I was prior to being in television, I was a DJ, and I fell in love with I play gospel, jazz, but I always loved country music. And country music always has a story. All right. So one of the stories that comes with the culture of what we call AIE is seeing life change, Marchand. Um, we talked recently of a story about there was a young man that came out of Gulfport High School who came here as a running back, and he was turned into a linebacker. And he was just trying to get himself on the field, played a lot of special teams. And then after a while, when Coach Hall got here, he started playing a lot. And then he starts seeing a lot of the environment kind of change, even that last year, COVID. And now this young man, let me back up. We go to the Mobile Bowl, and the Mobile Bowl, Marchand asked for two of our most significant young men to come speak at a detention center in Mobile. Kids that were not going home for Christmas, 12 and 13-year-old kids, Marchand. And so they asked us, they had heard about the culture and heard about, all these really kids, these kids that, yeah, they're going through college and they have their highs and their lows. But for the most part, they're trying to make right decisions. But we had two, they asked for two. And I said, okay, I got two. So one was Swayze Bozeman, and who I adore.
Incredible young man. Incredible.
Yeah, to do his wedding in Florida with Macy was a highlight in a thunderstorm. God held out the rain. It's crazy. And the other one was TQ Newsome. TQ told everybody, those young men, that I could have easily been in here with you. I was in a car when somebody shot up trying to shoot one of my people, my folks, when I was 5 years old. And I grew up mad and angry. But if it had not been for coaches and people, I could literally be here. He came out of there, that I'll never forget. He came out of there and he was just emotional. Well, Marchand, TQ has his bachelor's. He still has 1 year to play, but he's not. He just got his master's. And in 2 months, he'll be at the Mississippi Medical Center starting his journey to be a heart surgeon.
Wow. Yep.
His life changed in about 3 years under that aroma of AIE. Think how deep that is, from number 35 making tackles and of course loving people, but he's going to be a heart surgeon. Now, that's a country music story that continues to go. But if that can be produced, a doctor that played on Saturdays can be produced, or a young man like Swayze Bozeman has been injured every year, but still can make it to the Kansas City Chiefs camp. That has something to do with going and knocking out somebody on Saturdays, but it has everything to do with the environment and the culture. We had 4 kids that were free agent contracts last year, and all of them made the team. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. When we talk about baptisms, we talk about in the environment that it is. It's like when a kid comes into it, we have a little office that's in the M Club, and this is the corporate office where we're at, but we have a little office in the M Club, and when we're coming down, we're having those one-on-ones, and that's what I love, having these one-on-ones. We just sit up and talking about stuff. When they get in here and we start talking about not having that green surface or those stands or those lights being a god, because it's a temp job. When it's all over with, who does the mirror say you are? Are you a roster? Are you on the roster for the University of Southern Mississippi for a particular position? Yes. But that's a temp job. And the greatest gift God ever gave us is a choice. We can either live on our own narrative, or we can have some accountability. And it's a choice. And Marchand in Mississippi and Alabama, 3/4 of all of our football players in high school and college don't have a paternal influence in the house.
Mm, mm,
So when they get up there and you sit down with some cat like me who I want us to win big time, but I want them to get up out of there when it's time is over with, that they be a really good citizen
mm,
and that they're able to love people from the out, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. When they sit down and we talk about these things, sometimes we get into some hard stuff we hear from some of our guys that are wearing a helmet and some pads. And if you can love them through it, then God does something special within their heart sometimes. And
mm.
then you see some stuff happen. And TQ Newsom's one of those stories. Swayze Bozeman's one of those stories. And then there's some ones on this team that I will not even mention, but I'm telling you, after a while, you'll hear their names not only on the field, but off of it as well.
Mm, mm. Incredible stories right there, Mitch. And like I said, you can't even come close to questioning the incredible culture being built, Coach Hall and yourself. And there's a reason why a big name could have left, like Frank Gore Jr. did not.
Yep.
Because
Jason
of
Brownlee could have left.
Jason Brownlee.
Brownlee could have left. In this day of NIL and all of this, now you think about it, we got 50-something kids that have been in the program for 3 years. We have a number of them, Marchand, have come from bigger programs where they had NIL money that a whole lot more significant than what they may be getting here. But they didn't leave. And it wasn't because they didn't get a Don Corleone, an offer they couldn't refuse. They got one. They just chose to stay. Why? Well, there are a whole lot of reasons, but the biggest reason, these young men seem to believe that their life mattered while they're a football player here. And it's bigger than money. Now, I get it. There's socioeconomic reasons why a young person could leave our program and go do what I get that. And I don't have any questions about it. But I'll tell you this, there's a number of them that get here like, yeah, the money might be good, but I think I'm good. I think I'm good here. I think I'm all right here. I think I'm growing here. And we have seen that in the last 3 years. We have seen that. Now, Marchand, we've seen that, and we hadn't won yet. We getting ready to do this thing, we believe, but we got kids staying, and the scoreboard has been opposite. But they see the other stuff under it that's building to it. And I don't know if everybody understands where we were. We were not in a really, really good place. And to see the bricks built, I think everybody's going to, after a while, this is our prayer that we're going to see some of that fruit from them trees.
With the culture and the quality of men, young men being better men in this program, you put some wins on top of it, I'll put my Southern Miss program against anybody. So these wins are coming, Mitch. These wins are coming.
They're coming. They are coming, and the talent's good. The coaching is really good. And but again, under it is this hope and really this intentionality to really make sure we water every seed that's been in the ground for the last 3 years, that we water it, fertilize it even more so that it has a chance to grow into something that we think will be memorable at this school. That's what we're hope. That's our hope. And that's what the work's going to be coming out the spring, going through the summer, and getting ready for the start, hopefully what a memorable 2024 season might look like.
Sun Belt, not to use Coach Sanders, Deion Sanders stuff, but we're coming.
Yeah.
We're coming.
Yeah. We got kids that can play.
We're coming.
And then, after a while, everybody's going to see, of course, you're always going to have some transition, but the kids that are coming to our program that are transferring here, they're coming from Power 5 programs, coming to play for us. And we can't wait to see them. A lot of them we've met and come from great families and they can't wait. We can't wait till the fall. It's gonna be something else now. Marchand, competition kind of makes everybody a little bit better on the field, right? But I look at it a different way. Competition makes you ask yourself some inward questions. Like, okay, so I mean, do I have the dynamics? Do I have all the initiative? Do I have what I need to have to be at my very best? You get there. Let's talk about that. And we got enough. Do we have too many distractions? Or are you calling your own plays too much? What's that look like? And then start working through a number of those things. And thank goodness, a number of our guys, most of our guys, we've kind of gone through a lot of channels with them. And we have an expectation that they do what they need to do.
Hattie's Burgers and Blues. Burgers, craft beer, music. Downtown Hattiesburg.
I love it. And which brings me back, and I'd be doing people a disservice. We didn't talk about a little WDAM stuff, but it brings back to your core values that I saw for 3 years as a sportscaster under you, the sports director, where, you were the face for well over 2 decades of the Pine Belt area. And where I came in right after football feeling good about myself, and you're like, if you got to know you, Mitch is like, I got to make this young man uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And because your quote that I love so much to this day is, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so you made me uncomfortable thinking about life and things like that. But you impact people spiritually, professionally. You've just done so much, Mitch, with WDAM time. It was sports, but there was a lot of life values, people who worked around you going on.
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of joy in to see how, you, Marchand, has developed as a man. I get a lot of joy in that. I get a lot of joy in that when you share your vulnerability for the sake of people you don't know. A lot of joy in that. From the time when 43 walked into that television station and trying to find out his next steps in this life away from football. Won't forget that. I feel like it was, it's like in being like meeting Coach Hall, God had a setup, didn't show us the blueprint of some things that he wanted to do in seasons of people's lives. And WDAM was great, and I loved being there. It was a way how to serve people here in my home. And it's a love to be around people. Love God, love people. It was great. Carrie Lynn Leggett is my broadcast child. She was my last intern, and now she's the 5 and 6 o'clock anchor at the TV station. Baby girl. I take a lot of joy in seeing how she's grown, not only as a young woman, but as a wife and a mom. That's the ticket. That's the ticket when you see all of that. And then what WDM did do, Marchand, was that it established relationships with coaches before I got into FCA. So once we were called to FCA after doing Steve McNair's funeral at Reed Green Coliseum, which we didn't know now, know it had some kind of connection to it.
And Mitch, not to slow you down, let's talk about that transition, because that was a big jump. You were the face. People tie Hattiesburg when they go out of town, Mitch. Oh yeah, Mitch. I mean, you're Mitch Williams, man. But in 2011, we'll get back to that right when you won. You had a calling to leave, and do this FCA thing. Man, talk about that, because there was it impacted a lot of people. Wait, Mitch is not going to be on TV every night. Wait, what? So
Well, we did Steve McNair's football camps as media for 11 years during the summers. Loved to go. I mean, we'd go to Nashville, and his first camp was at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, and then he had some at Alcorn. He had some at the university, and we did his media for him and loved him. Knew him when he was at Mount Olive in 8th grade. Covered him all the way through his high school and through college. And when he passed away, got a call from his mama about 2 o'clock in the morning. He died on the 4th of July in 2009. She called that night, I guess the next morning. Said she wanted to have his funeral on that Saturday, the next coming Saturday. And I told her, I'm not doing that. We're all broken up by it. And then she said, yeah, I need you to do it, baby. And then she hung up the phone. And then Bus Cook called 2 hours later at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's messed up. And he says, we're going to have a meeting on the steps, the high steps at Reed Green Coliseum at 10 o'clock. Will you be there? And I said, yeah. And we start putting together Steve McNair's funeral. And it's 6,000 people come to the Coliseum after I wrecked 2 cars. I wrecked 2 station cars. I should have just crazy. And trying to put that together. Our ushers for that funeral at Reed Green Coliseum was a local church and WDAM producers. It was Tam, Mina, Tarek, I think Quinn. I mean, all of them were our ushers. We didn't have much depth chart. And yeah, man, standing on that podium that's Ray Lewis and all these other folks. But in that audience, Marchant, were kids you and I covered. It was about 2,500 students that were there. And I felt like once they rolled Stephen out of there, and I'm like, man, you're the biggest hypocrite. You sit up there celebrating home runs and touchdowns and 3-pointers, and you're doing nothing, absolutely nothing to help cultivate that in this generation, though God's given you somewhat of a pulpit. And I toiled with that for about 13 months. And then Dr. James Hutto, who loves the university, great deal. He was in a prayer circle of ours. He's a former superintendent of Petal Schools.
Oh yeah, I love James.
Yeah, he's
great man.
He's Big Papa now. He's the godfather. And so I called him and I said, man, can I talk with you? And so we went to the Walgreens in Petal, Mississippi, and in the parking lot there. And I told him everything, what was going on in my heart. And he said, we were going to pray and fast for 14 days, Marchant. And after that 14th day, I met with an FCA board, a local FCA board, and they said they were looking for an area director. I said I wasn't interested. And I've been around here long enough to, what are y'all doing? And so I really had a really bad attitude. It was horrible. So they said, before you even think, go see Brother Bill. So I went to see a guy named Bill Buckner, who was the state director of Mississippi. He was a former coach, but he was battling with leukemia. And I met him at the McDonald's in Meridian. And I told him what's going on. And then he popped that question on me. He said, how would you like to use the influence God's given you for 25 years at the television station for the Lord? Marchant, I asked him, could I work for him that day? And he said, no, we gotta go through a process. I didn't know what it was that I was going to be working for FCA. I mean, you ain't got no budget, you ain't got no phone, you ain't got no office, you ain't got nothing. You started.
Yeah. You're gonna read some of these. You started with only 8 schools in this big old region, a tiny budget, and no offices and 1 staff member. One.
Nothing.
It was an uphill fight, man. It was an uphill clock.
Nothing. But I remember prior to going to Brother Bill, I walked with my pastor, Dwayne Higginson. He took me to Gulf Shores, Alabama. I'd never been there before. That was the night of the funeral, after the funeral. And I was telling him everything, and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, okay, whatever this is, just remember you have to own it. You have to own it. And then two, the second thing is do not turn around, go forward. So that carried into that conversation with Brother Bill, and then going to Jim Cameron's office and walking in that office, Marcia, that was like, so
Ooh, the GM, Jim Cameron, man. You had to
yeah.
resign.
And I got my letter. What? And
Jim loved you, man. I mean,
I love Mr. C, man. And I walked in there and I gave him my letter of resignation and said, my last day is June 30th.
Oof.
He looked at me, he just kind of looked, and then he tore it up. He just tore it up in front of my face. He said, this is not going to happen. But see, he got to remember too, Mr. Cameron. I said, Mr. Cameron, you got to remember, I'm a country boy. I mean, I've been around these country around here all the time.
Yeah.
I had another letter in the back of my pocket.
You had a back.
Which was the one I was going to give to Randy Swan, but I just kind of gave it to Mr. I said, hey, this is it. And he said, what? And I told him what was going on and what. And then Mr. Cameron said, so what do you need? I'll never forget that. And I said, well, we're going to finish up all the way through the month. And I'll let you know. And yeah, so that was 14 years ago. And from that, now one staff, now we got 30, well, volunteers part-time and full-time is 39 of us. And we had a budget, that budget was $55,000. And look, man, that's $55,000 with expenses, everything else. And I got 2 boys in college and 2 at home. and my wife is working part-time. So okay, so it was coming down from what I at Channel 7. I mean, it was just that. And then, so that was the budget. And now the budget for everybody in the region from Meridian to the coast, we're around 2.4 million, I guess. Just
wow.
Yeah, and that's involved with a lot of events and different things and opportunities that we give not only our kids but our families in these communities. So now,
wow.
Yeah, and in this season, right, for the university, is that I serve as chaplain and of course multi-area director, and because we got such great area directors, I get to spend a lot of time at the school and invest time in not only our kids, but our coaches. A lot of our coaches are young guys and they're just trying to, raise up families and things. So if you're asking me, do I love getting out and raising support for FCA? The raising support stuff, raising your hand up for it, but I love meeting the people who have the heart to help people. Love that. And so the one thing about us, FCA has been around for 70 years and we'll be around for another 70 because of that coach and because we can get into places where maybe the church can't go, but we got relationships that we build. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way you say that, man, and it no wonder this FCA has grown from, let's call it what it is, not a lot going on, to this flourishing garden that's going to continue to grow, man. And you said something right there, man. And just people probably feel this that know you, man. You get to know people. You really do. You're more interested in the personal aspect of things. You wanted to know about me when I worked with you. And I do remember I always laugh, man, like looking back, people think I'd like to do the highlights. I enjoyed the Southern Miss games. Man, I enjoyed when you told me, for one example, said in Marchand, there's a man driving boxcars out in the middle of West Mississippi. Go find this man.
I remember that. Yeah.
And man, that was the most fun I ever had doing the story. I got to know this guy and tell his story, how proud he was of his boxcar racing, man. And we put it on all the shows, but just stuff like that, man. I miss the personal stories, but that's you.
Yeah.
Stop being selfish and you plan. I mean, get to know these people, impact people, man. And you and Coach Hall are impacting people tremendously. And this thing's going to continue to grow. We're about to win big. And then Mitch, you mentioned your beautiful wife, Sheila. So and 4 awesome young men that you raised. So man, it's a little moment to shine some light on the family side of things. What's going on over there, Mitch?
Well, I mean, we're heading now to our this will be our 37th year being married come November. And what's crazy, Marshan, I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. I was running track at the university my sophomore year, and the Mrs. Sheila, she would play volleyball, and like she's got like a 9 school record. They ain't gonna never be broken because volleyball's different.
Yeah, let's give her recognition.
Yeah, I mean,
heck of an athlete.
she's in the M Club Hall of Fame herself. She was a blast.
Yeah.
Like a 38-inch vertical leap. Just really one of 11 children. So I was like, I was with my roommate David Scheck-Snyder. We just got Coach Bell had just dropped us off for running 8 miles down 4th Street. We come back up there. We're toe up tired. And then she walks up there. She's gorgeous. She's getting ready to go into volleyball practice. And I said, hey. And she like, look me up. No, not you. And she just kept on going.
Oh, man.
Well, I said, well, okay, whatever. All right. So, but my roommate, David Scheck-Snyder, her roommate was from Biloxi. He was from Biloxi. Well, Southern Miss beats Mississippi State in Jackson. Reggie Collier and a bunch goes crazy. They go up and Sammy diving from the 10-yard line. Big old, I mean, we beat these rascals. All right. Well, no, that's he did that against so much, but we beat them.
But still, Eagle fever, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. And we beat them. But the low track people and the volleyball people, we ain't got no money. We can't pay to go to the game. So we just here. So, but we want to go to celebrate. All right. So my William Bolden, who is our my God, he was our steeplechase runner. He's now a retired colonel in the Army, and he had the only car we had. So we figure out we're gonna go to Harold Jackson's Disco 29, which was down on the east side. It was the only discotheque. And man, I was a big old dancer. So look, so David calls Kim, who was her roommate, and we all get into William Bolden's car to go to Harold Jackson's Disco 29 the night we beat Mississippi.
Mitch, you're showing your age calling it a discotheque.
Discotheque. I mean, look, it was a ball, standing ball, and people. It's crazy. So I go over there, and I'm just standing on the wall. What? I'm really kind of my mind into it. We done beat these boys because we're kind of track guys. We kind of hang around the football guys a lot sometimes. So, and she saw me over there, and she said, "Hey, you want to dance?" And I said, okay. I'm just in another zone. So I get out there and dance, one dance, and I go back on the wall, and she comes back and sits down, and I'm at the table where I was standing up. I got to sit down. She says, I really like your shoes. I thought nothing of it. And then, we thought we were just friends and stuff. Well, William Bolden, my roommate, takes her out. He calls her, takes her out, wants to take her to the movie. Took her to the movie. Well, guess what? When he came back from the movie, she tells him, well, look, I want to go to Bond Hall and see if you can see if Mitchell's up there so he can walk me back home to Hillcrest. Told my teammate that. So that walk from Bond Hall to Hillcrest started everything.
Oh, man. That's awesome, man. Discotheques, track beats, Bond Hall, Hillcrest, man. You touched on a lot of vintage Southern Miss right there, man.
A lot of stories, a lot of country music songs in that Marchant.
Oh, man, that's awesome. This incredible stuff right there. I love it. And I used to love when you would talk about Sheila and turn the music up. Would be me and you in the room in the office.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. Turn it up.
Man loves his wife right there. That's the danger.
Well, for 36 years, now going on 37, and 4 boys and 2 grandchildren, it's been a full life. Marsha, and I've said, if the Lord called me home today, I'd be all right. Because he's been mighty good to us. And then every day I get up, I got something to go to. If it's over there jumping on an offensive lineman who's probably about 130 pounds bigger than me, or if it's just sitting there talking to coach about something, or walking with some of our assistant coaches. A lot of them, they just walk. I go walk with them sometimes, and or that we share some probably not so healthy food sometimes because we're on the run. I got something to go to every day. And it's hard. I mean, sometimes it's real hard. I mean, you got to kind of mix a lot of stuff and it's challenging. But Marchant, people matter. People matter, man. People matter. And in this day and age where we got to have it me now and everything else, and it matters. I mean, it matters when if you can text Slade Wilkes and say, hey, boy, you know, that home run you hit is still rolling, you know, or, or, you know, or getting Mark Montgomery, a text from Mark Montgomery, who's got a son that's coming to play basketball for us. And people matter. You know, people matter. And to be in the fabric of it and seeing some stuff happen in this season of life has been pretty awesome.
That's incredible right there. And you've always just made people matter. And not to harp on me again, but you made me feel important daily. When football was over, man, you know, where I came from with that boys' home, I needed guidance. I needed a strong man figure. And you took so much interest in me. So I could speak from the heart, saying, man, this guy cares. And once his football team starts winning, Coach Will Hall and Mitch Williams are going to have something serious to start talking about. Some serious.
I tell you what, I cannot. I'm just asking the Lord again that He would let, you know, the hard work kind of pay off. That's what we're asking Him to, and He could say no to it, and we will be satisfied with that. But the fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. That's an old biblical proverb, meaning we ain't gonna stop. Not only praying for what can happen, and you know, when we win, it helps the whole economy, it helps the community, it helps the environment when we win. But from the inside out, that young man or that coach can look in the mirror and say my hard work is paying off. And when football is over with, then they got to go to a regular 8 to 5 or however. It starts feeding that mind, body, and spirit that I can be productive. And not only can I be productive, maybe I can give a little bit of my time away to somebody else who needs a shot. Someone else that might need a little bit more encouragement, things that you do. That's the hope in it all.
That's awesome. And you have so many good messages, so many good quotes, so many motivational areas that you just guide people through. And, you know, it's hard to pick one, but if you don't mind, as we wrap things up, I'd like to pick a message from Mitch Williams, but to the fans for this 2024 football season. Wow. Give them a good message of inspiration and hope, Mitch.
Well, you know, there's a psalm that says, where there's unity, there's a blessing. And that's Psalms 133. And if people are unified or they believe in something and they're unified in believing in it, there is a blessing. And this year, you know, we're going into the season and our word is together. How we can do things together, not only just for our football program, but for the whole community around it. What can happen if we really sew in it together? And for the Southern Miss folks, if you're listening, and thank you for hanging on to Marchant and encouraging and keeping, you know, stay with him and listen to him and love on him. But for those of y'all that are out there, know that there are always better results when we can do things together. If we ever try to do it alone, or we feel like we're framing up a conversation where we're isolated, there goes the trouble. And for our young men on our football team, it's nothing like seeing them walk in bunches going places. That's awesome. It's nothing like that. It's like seeing them in the locker room and they got loud music going on and they're dancing all together. It's nothing like it. There's nothing like seeing them when we've got an important play and they're in the huddle. Nothing like it. The same thing is in life, and then also supporting our kids in our university. If we choose to do it together, if we do it, there comes a blessing. And the blessing may look like a whole lot of different things to a whole lot of people. But let's take our ups, our downs, our challenges, our triumphs, and let's just live it and just do it together. How about that?
Powerful words and great message for the fans. And I appreciate that, Mitch. And, you know, from a guy who was just a powerful mentor to me after football, a guy who's changed so many lives in a positive way through the years. Mitch, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for being on the show today.
Marshan, it's been my honor. I love you dearly.
I love you too, man.
And earnestly, and you keep changing the world and keep giving away your life away. And then we'll give God the glory for all of it.
Amen, Mitch. And I appreciate that. And I can't think of a better way to close this show than with our slogan, Mitch. So from the great Mitch Williams and myself, let's give everybody a big Southern Miss.
To the dadgum top.
To the daggum top.